Well, this is my dirty room. As you can see, it's dirty. Engines everywhere. The tear-down bench, and I gotta go answer the phone. Well, yeah, I want to get it going, but right now, there's the bead machine and the steel machine, which does our bead blasting, or our shot peening. The hot tank, the wash tank, and the small aluminum tank, and of course the jib crane that gets it all there, in and out, and then around to the tear-down bench. Down bench, for a change, it's clean, and that's very unusual. However, tools are mostly in place, but we just got through cleaning it. And next to it is the block master, which decks blocks. There's Storm Block and Vulcan 85B block master right behind the toolbox that rolls around. And then we go from there into the rest of the shop in the back. Leave the dirty room and the tear-down area. We see all of our parts and pieces for this blockmaster, and into next door is our general machine shop. There we're now looking at a cylinder boring machine, and back into the air compressor, and we're into the CC department, where we CC out all our cylinder heads. There's for our high performance head work. Line honing machine, where we do the line hones for all of the blocks that are to go into race cars and high performance stuff, and on into the balancing department, where we do all of our own engine balancing. Presently the machine is covered up because we're not using it, but balancing machine and all of the scales for this are located closely together, so we can do all of our balancing in one area. Note the bob weights hanging behind the press. Underneath all of the plastic over there are four different scales for scaling out engines. As we move on over, we note that there is a bench where we do all of our rod cutting and lightening on into where the pin and rod heater is located. Shadowgraph scale and the rod balancing equipment, and we also have electronic and 2 mechanical scales for doing our balancing. This is where we balance our crankshafts. As you can see, I just uncovered it. The crankshafts lay in the bed and are turned, and this is where we diagnose the out of weight. It's under the plastic, but you can see the electronic scale that sits on the bench, and then 2 white-faced scales, or mechanical scales, that we use for balancing. And above, of course, is where we keep our bob weights for our balancing. Components in there to shot peen and strengthen them. As you can see, this is a tear down area or bench here, or tear down cart actually, where all of the liquids can be removed. Our bead machine, which we do not use much, is in the background there. Rod reconditioning and pin fitting and aligning department. We have this unit here with which is a Sonnen, of course, and the rod cutting machine here. And right in front of us, coming into view, is the piston knurling machine, something that's very rarely used anymore. Seeing much of it on the 557 Van Norman broach, or wheel, I mean. We like it much better. And then on over into the first cylinder head rebuilding station. Cylinder head surfacer is our quick way guidance seat machine, where we replace guides and seats both. We also do a lot of high performance rebuilding station, and as you can see, we're using an automatic chuck on our valve machine, and underneath is where we keep most of our tools. Right forward of us, under the plastic again, is our vacuum tester. We test all of our cylinder heads to make sure that they don't have any leaks. It's both efficient and very fast compared to the MagnaFlux. Of course, we still have and use the MagnaFlux where necessary. Underneath the bench, whenever it's in, cylinder heads. This is station number 2, and this is a SU unit. And we just recently installed this. We store a lot of our high tech and micrometers and indicators and our precision tools both in the drawers, and as you can see, they're laying all over. The large vise we use for straightening connecting rods that are bent. You'll notice the TN111 is the unit that we use for straightening these connecting rods, or for checking them for straightness and also for straightening them. Most of our cylinder honing in a Hone Master, and seems to work very well for us, and I personally like them better than the new automated machines. We moved back into the teardown room and into the other area that we previously showed you, is talking to you. Now, I finished doing some work in here and checking this out. You'll notice that also this is where we do our crankshaft polishing on the CJ lathe. One thing that we have in this shop is the coffee stand, of course. Those who know machinery, I want to go into our other machine shop, where at the present time it doesn't look like a junk bin, since we just finished painting the floors. That phone will stop ringing. We'll go ahead and go into the regular machine shop and have some recordings of it before it gets all junked up like they most generally do. As we walk in, we can see that there are some of these things that belong in the automotive shop. However, it's more convenient for me to store them here than it is for them to be stored in our other warehouse. Our index mill, and it's all new tooling around it. As you can see that we've even a saw sitting on there as a it's being used as a workbench right now, I guess, but it's just recently been completely retooled and redone. This is our rack for our mandrels for the line hone unit, because there is no place in the other shop to store them. More press and drill press, and this is a small, let me zero in on this a little better. It's a machine that we set up for a racing truck, so that it is a mill, a drill, and a mill drill and a lathe combined, and we put it on a roller so that we can take it in and out of a truck and take it to the track if necessary. Shot of that, and it shows basically what we can do with that. It's a nice portable little unit. On around standard toolboxes and into the crankshaft rack, which is more, I find more convenient to store cranks over here than it is in the machine shop, since the other machine shop, since I don't have the space over there. Coming here is also full of brand new cranks, and there are a few regrounds up there also. And we pan around and you can see some of our general shelving. That's basically where we keep supplies. Again, there are tools and supplies that we keep over here that belong in the other shop, but we just don't have room for them. Into the main big door for where we can drive vehicles in and unload or do what we have to, what we call the roll-up door. The American lathe, which is an 18-inch lathe that swings 22 inches anyway, and has a nice long bed on it. And we use, as you can see, we're using it now to store old rags, etc., on. However, behind it, we'll find our turret lathe. This turret lathe is storing polyethylene. Everything that's been pulled off of the floor so we could paint it got stuffed wherever it might be. But this turret lathe, we don't use that often, but it is a good old machine, and it's set up for 110 volts, which is kind of nice. We'll get a better look at that a little later. Our lathe is our two band saws, or cutoff saws. One of them is, I believe, a 9x13, and the other one's 4x6 in capacity, cutting capacity. Both American made, of course. These saws, these cutoff saws, which, by the way, can be used by standing the arms up, or the saw itself. They can both be used as a band saw. They are for doing other work. Directly behind that is the back of our large drill press. Drill press, as you can see, has also been stacked with everything that was on the floor, but it is has a 3-foot arm on it, and it'll take up to a 2 or 2.5 inch drill. It's a very large, heavy-duty 3-phase piece of equipment. Right now the arm is all the way down and in. However, it will take a large piece of equipment just to move the bottom piece, where you place the unit to be drilled. You have to have a forklift just to move that. It's so heavy. And we're going to pan over here to the 3A Clausing Colchester, and that's about a 13-inch lathe, and the cabinet below it holds a great deal of our personal tooling, the tooling that we use in all of the equipment around here. Else, it's loaded with whatever was on the floor when we moved it to paint it. Next to that lathe is an Atlas 6-inch swing and about 18-inch between centers. A little unit that we use quite frequently for much of our smaller equipment and work. Underneath you'll see a rotary table, and if you look in all of the little boxes, you can see, if you were to look in all the little boxes, you would be able to see a lot of the special tooling that we have here that we've either bought or developed for our own personal use or our use here in the shop. Behind this unit is a group of shelving where we have our brooches for keyways, we have mini taps and dies, a lot of the tooling and equipment. Panning on beyond the entry door, we can see that we have our surface grinder there in the distance. This surface grinder is a really nice unit since it's universal and can be done, so many things can be done with it. It, of course, is always also 3 phases, as so much of the equipment in here is. Our surface grinder is our Brown and Sharp mill. It's a horizontal mill. This is a very old piece of equipment, but it still works good. However, we don't use it as much as we would the Index or some of the other mills. Next to it, we will see the 14-inch step-toe shaper, which is a unit that is again real old, and we use it rarely, but for blind holes, for broaching blind holes and other things, it works very well. Around to our entry to our other or automotive machine shop. As you can see, all of the things in the distance there, forklifts, etc., etc. If I can zoom in on some of this, yeah, engines and junk in the way there. However, this is the way we go from one area to the other most generally. Up in the machine shop, you can see the work that's laying a wait for us. So after we make a quick tour of the outside of the back of this shop, we'll go ahead and go to work and get a little bit of this work done. This is the rear of our machine shop area. The new building, which is connected, of course, to the older shop, which we now use for our automotive machine shop. It's about out as far as we can go, since the property line, there's a 10-foot setback here, and this is the end of the building of the new building. The roll-up door, and then we continue on with this pan to the other shop, which is down considerably farther down, and then we live about 60, 70 feet from the rear door of the automotive machine shop. Shouldn't pan into the sun that way. You can get a better idea of what we have here. As you can see, there's shelving and cores laying everywhere here. Another area that's on my docket to be cleaned up eventually. This back mobile home here we use for storage of new parts and other personal pieces. Is also a storage unit, and we use it for work in progress, since we don't have enough shop space for all of the work we do here. And also for other equipment that we might have. And if we look over here, we can see just one small pile of engines to be built. And the blue trailer is also full of engines to be built, and parts for same. The engine storage trailer is also full of parts, equipment, and also a lot of our lubricants and are kept in this area, and shop supplies, other shop supplies that are too big to go into. In the background, way in the background, you can see our mobile home. Running down to it, we can see, oops, oh, that's a mirror on the front porch of our old dresser. Anyway, this is a decent shot of the last of these back of our area here. Here worked really nice until we bought the motorhome, and then unfortunately the motorhome took the area up where we don't actually have use of the dock anymore.